In this lesson, you'll learn how to use shared preferences to store and retrieve data. Shared preferences are a convenient and easy way to handle smaller, simpler collections of data. Preferences can be used to save and retrieve key-value pairs of primitive data types, such as strings and integers. For example, you might use shared preferences to store a location that a user has entered into your app as a criteria for searching for places like restaurants. Say they entered San Jose, California. You'd store the string San Jose, CA in shared preferences under the ID location, and it would remain there until the user changed it or uninstalled the app. The web page shown here is the Shared Preferences section of the Storage Options page on the developer's website. It has a good, concise explanation of how to use shared preferences. We'll come back to it in a moment. In the API Demos worksheet, there's a primary group of preference entries in lines 161 through 169. We've already looked at shared preferences in our lessons on settings and preferences, so you might want to review those lessons as a background for this lesson. Let's take a quick look at the Preferences from Code demo. We'll start the API Demos app, click on Preference, and Preferences from Code. And then we'll click on Edit Text Preference. This has an instruction of enter your favorite animal. So I'll enter dog. Now if I close the API Demo app and then re-enter it and click on Edit Text Preference, you see our data is still there. It's been saved in shared preferences, and it'll remain there unless I uninstall the app. Now let's look at how you can change a preference's value using Java code. In the Storage Options page on the developer's website, click on Using Shared Preferences, and then let's scroll down and look at this section of sample code. It's basically a two-phase process. In the onCreate method of your app, you access the data stored in your preferences. You use it and possibly change those values. In the onStop or onPause methods, you save your values. Let's take a look at the first phase, accessing your data. This is demonstrated in the code lines with the comment line, Restore Preferences. First, you create a shared preferences object called Settings here, using the getSharedPreferences method that specifies your preference name. Next, you use the appropriate get method to retrieve a value from preferences based on an ID, which is silent mode in this example. The second parameter, false in this case, specifies a default value if no value in your preferences was found. Now let's take a look at the different get methods you can use. We'll scroll up and click on this link to the Shared Preferences class. And then we'll scroll down to the methods, and you see them listed here. Get all, get boolean, get float, get integer, get long, string, string set. Which one of these methods you use depends on the type of data you're storing in your preferences. Now let's go back to the previous page and scroll back down to the code. After we've retrieved a value, silent in this case, we can use it in our code to take an action, such as using it in the setSilent method. Now let's look at the second phase, saving our preference values. In this case, we're doing it in the onStop method. The first statement creates a shared preferences object, just like we did above. The second statement creates a shared preferences editor that we'll use in the next statement. In that statement, we use the appropriate put method to store our value. The preference identified by the ID, silent mode in this case. Finally, we have to use the commit method to make the changes permanent. That's our lesson on using shared preferences to store and access data. It's a really straightforward and convenient way to store simple and smaller sets of data.